Right, so on the eve of the second test match in Chennai, England have given us a bit of a surprise with the announcement of a 12-man squad that does not include Jimmy Anderson or Dom Bess, both players that were instrumental in that first test win. That's the 12 that they've announced, Ian Bell. Ollie Stone is in line to make an appearance in this series. Chris Woakes and Moeen Ali set to play a test match after almost 2 years. Let's get your thoughts on that. Is Anderson the biggest surprise for you that he's not part of this test after how he played in the first?
Yes, I think it is a surprise. I think certainly going 1-0 up, I think England are in, they've been in dreamland, really, the way they played that first test match, you think now. And I think the word that springs to mind, the way they went the first was ruthless. And you feel like when you've got India in this position, you want to go again. And Jimmy was outstanding with the ball. It's not a complete surprise because this is what they've done with Jimmy and Brody, and they've rotated their two senior bowlers. But I do feel the way Jimmy bowled in the last test match, it must have been tempting to play him again. But I think to rotate those two isn't an absolute shock. I think to change Bess is quite interesting. I know maybe when you look deep into, he's bowled a lot of obviously bad deliveries, but he has gone 2 5-wicket hauls in Sri Lanka and 4 for in the first innings there. So that's a bit of a surprise to change that. And obviously Jofra being injured. So and obviously the forced change of Butler going home after the first test match. So again, I'm a big believer when you win test matches, you want to go again. You don't want to make too many changes because, like I said, they don't want to let India back into this series. And I think the hardest thing, even though England have got a great squad and I sort of understand parts of it, I don't agree with all of it. But I think that there's going to be guys coming in that haven't played test cricket for a long, long time.
Yeah, let's discuss the Anderson one. Maybe before the series, it was a plan that we'll play Anderson in 2 and Broad in 2, or just split it up. And you would want Anderson for that pink ball test. But just given the result of the first, he bowled 27.5 overs in that first test match. Would you have taken a call, especially after Jofra Archer was also injured, that now let's just continue with Jimmy Anderson, and if we win this test match, we could even consider resting him for the third? Would you have gone that way?
I think you've got to be. I don't think you can stick to a rigid plan. I think this has to be able to change and evolve over a period of time. As you said, if Jofra is injured, you'd like to think that in terms of one of the bowlers already been out there in a test match. I think, again, knowing Jimmy Anderson, unless he has a niggle, he's desperate to play. He'll want to play every single game of cricket there is. He's a competitor, both him and Brody together. They don't like missing cricket. So I'm surprised, unless there is something that they are just monitoring, is the only reason I can think. Otherwise, you'd want your best bowler, your leading wicket taker of all time, who's proven, again, not just in English conditions, he can do it in Indian conditions as well. So I think that's a boost for India. I think there's no doubt when they look at that team sheet and there's no Jimmy Anderson on there. I think that's a huge boost for India.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now you resume Stuart Broad will make the 11. It'll be a toss-up between Ollie Stone and Chris Woakes for the other seamer. We've not seen much of Chris Woakes in Test cricket. We've only seen Ollie Stone in one Test. Belly, you know a bit more about him. Which way would you go?
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. I think if my gut feel says if they're going to go light for light, which is what they've done. I think Wood obviously played with the extra pace in Sri Lanka. Ollie Stone is that kind of bowler, more similar to Wood. He can bowl 90 miles an hour. He's skiddy, he's fast through the air. So my gut feel says if they're going to try and keep the balance of that attack where they have somebody that can come in when the ball's not doing too much with pace, then you go Ollie Stone route. If they want a like English seamer, who's going to hit a good area, hit good length, and then you go Chris Woakes. But then you could argue that might be a bit samey to Stuart Broad, which again, England have tried to have that balanced attack. And it is nice to have someone like an Ollie Stone or a Wood or an Archer that can run in for 4 overs and try and bowl at as high pace as possible. So there's arguments either way. Personally, I'd like to see Ollie Stone have a go. But then I look back and I think in Sri Lanka, there was an opportunity maybe to play him in the second test match. All of a sudden, he's going to go into this test match. If he does play, both of them, and they've played no test cricket yet. Yes, they've trained in the nets. Yes, they've probably played a middle practice or something like that. But that's not the same as playing a test match. All of a sudden, you're going to ask, I think, Moeen Ali, Chris Woakes and Ollie Stone potentially to go and bowl 25 overs a day when they haven't done that for a long time.
Let's talk about Moeen Ali then, who will be featuring in a test match since the Ashes in 2019, just after the World Cup. Seems like an age back now with all that's happened in between. He doesn't have a very good record in India. He has an excellent record against India in England. But just on the like-for-like call for Moeen Ali in and Dom Bess out, what do you make of that, Benny?
Yeah, look, well, firstly, I'm a massive Moeen Ali fan. I think he adds a lot to this group. On and off the field, he's just a really good guy. I think we talked about it yesterday. I thought there was probably the only way to get him in maybe was instead of Lawrence, and Pope goes to 3 and you bring Moeen Ali in at 6 maybe. And the fact is actually his runs is actually the other way around. He scores more runs against India in India, less in England, but he's bowling the other way around. So I thought there was an option to bring him in, and then you're not solely relying on him as the spinner. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, again, I don't know the actual out-and-out message for Dom Bess. I feel it's a bit harsh on him. And again, you're looking whether they have full faith at the moment in Dom Bess, but it's a strange one after winning a Test match. But again, Moeen Ali, like I said, a massive fan of him. And the other factor is, again, it's another left-hander. Stuart Broad is another left-hander. So Ashwin certainly getting down the middle to lower order. We'll have more left-handers to bowl to, which again, I'm sure that will be a positive for India. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Again, he's going to have to do, as we've seen for the spinners, if they lose the toss, he's going to have to bowl a lot of overs, and be a holding role in that group, but then also be attacking. And when you haven't done that for a period of time, there is an adjustment period to go through.
So they're missing 3 out of their 4 frontline bowlers from that first Test win. Would India be just a little bit happier on the eve of this Test match, looking at that news and saying, oh, no Anderson, right, Dom Bess, they may not have minded it, but again, Moeen Ali coming at the back of it. Would India welcome this sort of news, especially with England without Anderson?
Look, I think there's no doubt in the period we're in and COVID and everything, this is not easy for selectors, and they're obviously trying to make the best decisions for this group, not just for now, but for this next 12, 18 months. And to credit to England at the moment, everything they've done and everything the decisions they've made has worked. This is a brave decision. As I said, I think when you've got a team and you've got ahead of the game, now's the time to be really ruthless and try and, again, win again. And I'm sure that is the mindset, but certainly I'm a big believer when you win a Test match, you want to try and not make as many changes as possible. And obviously there are some forced ones. So let's see. We'll watch at the end of the Test match and we'll see whether this works or not. Like I said, it's a brave decision to make so many changes. But like I said, credit to England so far. Everything they've done has worked incredibly well. And, the backroom staff and the decision making, from Silverwood and Root, they've been outstanding. But I'm not going to lie, I think this is a bit of a shock to see so many changes. Like I said, when you've gone 1-0 up already in a series so big as an India series. And also some of the guys we talk about are just Test match players. So do you need to rotate Test match players when it's 4 Test matches and then a long break? I fully understand the guys who are playing 3 formats from Butler, Stokes, Root from time to time, and Archer. They do need looking after because they are our key to so many formats of the game for England.
Thanks for your time, Belly.
Anytime.